Like, they convicted him on multiple charges. And yet, and I just feel like, again, we're just in this insane time in history where something like that goes unchecked, or something like that gets excused, or something like that is a conspiracy. He didn't really do those things. Whereas, say we were in sort of like 1950s, 1960s America culture, everyone would be like, I'm not voting for that crook. Like, it would be as simple as that. Trump would be done. As soon as those convictions came through, we don't have criminals, criminals can't be our president.
Yeah.
Like, obviously very cookie cutter, very vanilla sort of black and white world back then. But it's just weird that essentially we've become worse in the terms of what we value in a leader, to the point where a convicted criminal can be excused for his convictions and become president again. Like, again, what we've talked about it so many times, but it's like, if you explained this part of history to anyone else, the Trump era, whether it be the first time he was the president or soon to be second time he was president,
It's like America's going back to its abusive husband.
we would like, no one would believe us. If we go into a multiverse of madness and we go into a different reality where, Trump is just a fucking buffoon who was on Celebrity Apprentice and managed his businesses badly and never paid taxes, then no one would go, Trump is president? That's a good, it's that whole Back to the Future thing. And yet, here we are. And now he's going to be president again. It would be, I also do have like somewhat of an issue with like this idea that like Trump is this young upstart, this young 78-year-old upstart, sharp as a tack against senile, old, doddering 80-year-old Joe. Like, to me, it's like,
Trump does seem to have quite a bit more vitality than Joe.
I agree with that, but I also think
It's such a ridiculous scenario.
like, the presidential the presidential demands on an 80-year-old are quite substantial.
Yeah.
One that clearly Trump never took very seriously, based off his golfing games and his holidays and all that sort of thing. And why are you bothering me with this war stuff?
Yeah.
I got a round to play.
Yeah.
So, like, and I can see that. And I'm not even saying that, like, for instance, Biden is not sort of losing some of his mental acuity. However, I will also say that he's always been a stutterer and a stumbler and a guy that like mucks up his words, and so it's just, again, it's like you pick the pieces you want to believe. For instance, there's that clip of him like, at some parade or something, and he's just staring off into the distance. And they're like, oh, he's lost it. He's batty. He's crazy. He's senile. See, this is the proof. And it's like, have you never sat somewhere you don't want to be and zoned the fuck out for a good couple of minutes, and then someone goes, hey man, what you doing? You go, oh, sorry bro, I was daydreaming.
Yeah.
And so it's just weird that, again, it's just all contextualized within these clips, within these memes, as a kind of a way to attack this person.
Well, that's why in this era, it's more important to be good with the social media than anything else. Right? That's what Trump is coming across way more. He's got all this vitality. He's, like the memes are on his side, and then this new image of him doing this obviously is an iconic historic moment, and it's going to be remembered. I feel like if he's remembered at all, sometimes people like this do come and go and they do disappear from history. But if he's remembered in some way, good or bad, that is going to be one of the main images of him for sure.
Oh, yeah. I think also he will be, he'll be remembered all right. And also, yes, it is quite disturbing, like, obviously his perspective on climate change is like, cool. So you're going to set America back another 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's not just 4 years, because it's whatever you mandate and sort of, and whatever you disagree to. If you're going to just kind of fuck all that up, it's not just 4 years. It could be 10 to 15
it could take
years.
generations to recover.
And then, or you could literally just say, the Earth, the Earth's lifetime going forward. It's not even 4 years. So there's lots of problems there. It's all very bad, and unfortunately, this. Also, the other thing about this whole 78-year-old versus 80-year-old thing, it's widely sort of assumed and believed that like Trump is in diapers 24/7, and as far as we know, Biden is not in diapers. But Sleepy Joe, one of them can't even control their bladder anymore. But Sleepy Joe, he's fucking out of it. Yeah. And like, I'm not like a huge Biden advocate.
No.
It's more that I am just a sort of, obviously, Trump's got way more problems. Like if Biden's just like old and a little bit dotty, bring that on.
Well, he's got a team around him.
Exactly.
He's got an experienced team around
good team
him of people who are currently running the country.
Yeah.
It's all good. Stick with that, I reckon. But
yeah.
Well, we'll see how we go, but I feel like it's likely bad for America and bad for the world, probably bad for the conflict in Ukraine potentially if he decides not to support freedom.
Yes.
But there is a silver lining, Guy. There's always a silver lining.
Yeah.
Now, the silver lining, a similar thing happened in New Zealand to me. I voted Green and I voted Labour, which is normally how I lean. I'm leaning that way. And then National got in. Now, I voted with my conscience for what was better for the country, but what was better for me personally as somebody who had just bought a house is actually National getting in, because apparently it's better for my house property, supposedly. Property value, rather. Right? So that's the silver lining. I voted with my conscience, but hey, I get the benefits of this nationalist being an unscrupulous landlord and, National.
Meanwhile, they've dropped the Kiwi, the Kiwi homes and the Kiwi loans.
The first home
home buyer grant
is gone. So that was... My brother and I, we got 20 grand worth of first home grant.
Thanks to Labour.
And now Guy, they're taking away that. You've missed the boat on that one. Yeah.
So all the people that were hoping to get homes are now getting shat on.
Well, they're just a little bit further away. You're now $20,000 further away from a house,
Like, just please. Just obviously, we don't have many watches at the moment.
Yeah.
But, to comment, it's like, can anyone just comment like, yeah, I've got 20,000 in the I've saved up an extra 20,000 the last year.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like $20,000 is like such a massive amount of money that it's just thank you, National.
Well
thanks for that.
The silver lining with the Trump situation, where this all goes back to Trump, right? Is and this, I like I said, I would vote against them. But the silver lining here is apparently, and this is what people are thinking. Apparently, if Trump gets in, this is going to be good for the Tesla stock, the price of Tesla stock.
Well, known Trump advocate, fucking Elon Musk, and also now known
he's
Trump,
officially endorsed him.
Now known fucking Trump,
publicly endorsed him.
Trump advocate.
Yeah.
Fucking Hulk Hogan. I don't know if you saw that clip.
I didn't see the clip. I've just seen the shot of Hulk Hogan, and I was like, obviously Hulk Hogan has spoken out, probably in favor of Trump because Hulk Hogan's a racist and a Republican.
Well, it's just you don't want to see your heroes, sort of, and obviously the racism thing. He's put that behind him, but now
he's moved on.
Now this full endorsement of Trump, I'm like, oh no, Hulkster, Hulkster. I was a Hulkamaniac,
mate. We're on the losing team now, man.
I was a Hulkamaniac.
We're on the losing team now, man. Everybody's bouncing back from the loony liberal left, who we took it too far. We went too far left, and now there's this bounce back towards the center. And
or alt-right.
Well, that's the thing it's the system's out of whack. So there's swings from left to right. You've two choices are like literally Trump.
But unfortunately, like the left's like hopes and dreams are quite passive in the sense that it's like we want to fix climate change. We want like
we understand
we
science.
want educate people to have good education and healthcare.
Yeah.
Like kind of just very quite mundane, shall we say, regular quality of life. We don't want the world to end. Just very, whereas the like that's the extreme, and you obviously could get more extreme. You're more vigilant about these things. You're more passionate about climate change. You're more passionate about a living wage, right? But unfortunately, on the alt-right or the hard right, you're passionate about like killing certain sections
genocide.
of the you're like,
passionate about genocide.
You're passionate about killing certain like Jews. You don't like them, and that is really the concern here. Because it's fine if we bounce back, but if we bounce back
too far
to like insurrections and fucking whatever, it's like, dog. Oh, bruh.
Well, I agree, mate. So it's a concern.
So
here's you got to take a page out of George Carlin's book. He said, and at the time I was like, oh, come on, George, it's not true. But, he was like, look, I've just stepped back now. I'm just an observer. I used to care. He says, scratch a cynic and you'll find a disappointed utopianist or disappointed optimist. Idealist, yeah. Something like that, yeah. And that's him. So he stepped back and he's just watching it now. He's just an observer. He does, it could go one way, it could go the other. It's probably going the wrong way and he's just going to observe. And look, it's a bit of a defeatist, but I kind of relate more and more with it nowadays.
You got your house already, mate.
I'm already an unscrupulous landlord.
Exactly.
If Trump gets in, my Tesla stock goes up. I'm an unscrupulous investor. No, I have scruples. I'm investing in a company that I believe will be environmentally beneficial to the planet. So that's one of the reasons why as well.
We understand that Tesla stock's down quite a lot at the moment.
No, it's actually just had a huge run. It's up like 50% since like a couple of months ago.
Okay.
But it's down relative to all-time highs.
Sure.
But it's all right. It's ticking along. And so supposedly the reason why it will be good for Tesla stock if Trump gets in is because he wants to get rid of a lot of the EV subsidies that are about $7,500 when you buy a car. So you as a consumer, your EV is now going to go up to $7,500. But the problem is that the only company that can afford to absorb that cost that has enough profit per vehicle is Tesla. And all the other ones, all the other American ones, GM and Ford and stuff, are actually losing money on every vehicle they sell, every EV they sell. They're making their money from internal combustion engines, but they're losing money on every EV. And so as a result, if you take away that $7,500 subsidy, that they're now losing $7,500 more on every EV. And yet, all of them know the writing's on the wall. The transition to electric is well underway and is not going to stop because the cars are more economical to run and maintain and all of that. It's just the next generation of technology. So it's already happening. So they're weighted down by their internal combustion engine business and they're not making enough money on their EV business. And now they're going to be losing $7,500 more per car on the EV business as well. But Tesla is just going to have less competition because they can absorb that $7,500. And keep being profitable.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but National both did away. There was a EV subsidy here, which they have done away with.
Yeah,
and they've also added a fucking tax.
Yeah,
which again is sending the wrong message.
It's sending the wrong message. But I think the road user charge was already going to happen. Apparently, it was in the works for a while because they use the road. I guess EVs use the road.
Right.
Yeah. You might make an argument that they harm the road more than your average car because they're heavier. Yeah, because that battery.
Well, some of them are, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess a Nissan Leaf's probably not that heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so that's where we are politically. In case you're wondering, if that's why you tuned in for tuned in for the political updates, that's where you're at.
The ramblings of two old, out of touch millennials. Cusp millennials. We're on the cusp between millennial and the other generation. We're only a couple of years into millennial when we were born. Dry July, that most miserable time of year, is upon us. So that's why there's no beers at the moment. You might notice. I do feel better. I do feel like I feel like I've lost a little bit of weight. Not that much, but a little bit. Because normally I weigh myself with an empty stomach, and I'll have like 83 point something. The other day I was nearly 84 kilos. It was just on the cusp, and I was like, Jesus, that is the fattest I've ever been. I'm getting so fat that my OnlyFans is becoming an OnlyFriends, you know? And so I weighed myself yesterday, and I was like 82 point something with a full stomach and full of water. So I was like, okay, we're going in the right direction.
Yep.
So
2 kgs worth of beer right there.
Yep, right there in 2 weeks. So yeah, anyway, dry July. What else you got? I'm going to the Olympics on Monday. I'm going to France on Monday to compete as a rhythmic gymnast, I mean. And so I'm off on Monday. I'll be away for a month, working on the Olympic broadcast, putting graphics on it, live from Marseille.
Well, as far as places to go,
south of France in summer doesn't sound so bad. On a beach town and being put up in a hotel not too far from the beach because I'm working on the sailing. So that's obviously you got to be close to the water. So,
and you've extended your trip out, right?
Yeah, going to Glasgow and Edinburgh, and I'm going to be in Edinburgh during the Fringe Festival, coincidentally. So I'm going there for 2 nights, and I'm going to go sleep in a pod. It's a pod. It's a hostel, and you just hire like a pod.
Oh boy!
And you sleep in there.
Where do you put your suitcase? Downstairs.
There's lockers. Okay. When you get a lock. So there's lockers for your storage, and then you just sleep in this. Yeah.
You're really bulling on a budget. That's true.
Actually, the thing is, my other hotel is okay in Glasgow. That one's okay, but in Edinburgh, everything affordable was booked out because of the Fringe Festival, presumably.
Makes sense.
So
didn't dabble in Airbnb.
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did have a look. And it was not very good. But I didn't mind. I was like, that's all right. I'm a hip young 41-year-old. I can go to a hostel and
sleep in a pod.
In Edinburgh and sleep in a pod. I'll hang out with the kids out in the foyer. You know, we'll drink whatever.
Hey, where you guys going tonight?
Dudes. Hey, what's up, guys? Any good shows on? Maybe I could try and do an open mic while I was there, dust off my old stand-up comedy routine.
Have you watched Baby Reindeer yet?
I have, yeah. I've seen it.
Well, there you go. You'll be like him, except he was like 20 when he did that.
Lots of gay sex. Lots of gay sex in the toilet.
At the Fringe. He wasn't doing that at the actual Fringe Fest. He just had a bad show that became all right through the course of being there and being mentored by a sexual predator.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Yeah. Well, speaking of sexual predators, I've just said yes to a role where I'm going to play a sex offender who harasses a woman on the street and traumatizes her. Don't actually, do anything, but I harass her and make her feel very uncomfortable. I just came today from a meeting, the first kind of like reading and IC intimacy coordinator discussion.
What did the intimacy? How did
you keep your hands to yourself, Neville? Okay. No, it was good. We just obviously talked about. I mean, it wasn't the official intimacy coordinator session. It wasn't that. It was just a general conversation and just meeting for the first time.
Right.
But presumably next time we'll go through, consensual touch and what is okay and what we can and can't touch and do. Because I'm supposed to grab her and kind of grope at her and all that type of thing.
Yeah,
that's as it's written. And so we've got to go and do the intimacy coordinating, which is all the rage nowadays.
Sure is. Look, if you want to make a living, like if you're an out-of-work actor, there's no better job for you than intimacy coordinator because it pays not too badly, depending on the job.
Yeah.
And you're unemployed anyway, so you may as well do a course.
Yeah.
It's not a true. The qualification is like a 6-week course or something like that. It's like fuck all.
Yeah. There is an IC like kind of union though as well, who's trying to like keep the quality high and make sure that people,
are doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, doing it for the right reasons and all that.
Which is that you love coordinating intimacy.
Yeah, you're just really into intimacy, especially coordinating other people's intimacy.
So if you can watch 2 people be intimate and coordinate it, and that's something that you get off on, then this might be the job for you.
Google it. See if it's right for you. No, well, it is very important though. It's really good because like even like as the man in this, duo that has to do this IC thing, it's good for me to understand what, for us to talk about what we're both comfortable with and what is and isn't okay and all that. And it's just good to kind of lay it all out so you can all have that conversation at the beginning. You're like, okay, cool. It's all very clear about, much more clear and structured about what we can and can't do and what's, how it's going to work. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Makes it safer for everybody.
Yeah, I'm not against intimacy coordinators.
No.
But I am somewhat dubious of some of the reasons why or how certain people wind up as intimacy coordinators.
Well, how many do you know? I've only met a few, and they've been professional and nice.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of like, it's a
there
great.
Could be some deviance.
It's a great, not so much of the deviance, it's more just like, I don't give a fuck about this as a means to help people. I give a fuck about a side gig that I need to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So and also like kind of like the authority then placed on some of them. Like I guess maybe that's my issue is like there's some very sort of loud and proud intimacy coordinators that are like, I'm standing up for all people's rights here. I'm saving people here. And it's like, oh yeah, all right, yeah. Really concerned about you getting on that TV series 24/7 and being paid very well for it.
Why can't it be both?
I'm sure it is both for example, some people.
I, for example, probably wouldn't pursue that line of work. Even though it would be about the money and all that, the money wouldn't be enough, is what I'm saying. Like I would need to also be like actually interested in wanting to do it.
Well, we worked with an intimacy coordinator on our short, and he was really great.
And the whole scene got cut out anyway. So
yeah, which
so that's good.
it was a very common occurrence actually. But not really. We would have still required an intimacy coordinator for the generalities of the couple's dynamic. So I don't think. So what I'm saying is, we had to pay for the intimacy coordinator either way.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, what were we talking about before intimacy coordinators? So I do have to make a note of this that you got pinged as a sexual predator again, earmarked for a sexual predator
role
yet again.
Yeah.
And I can't help but feel like this is a reactionary decision on your behalf, almost a sort of a redemption arc for not getting the role as the Shortland Street stroker.
The Shortland Street stroker.
A couple of years ago or a year ago when you were, you had your heart set on being the Shortland Street stroker. You came within an inch of being the Shortland Street.
A few inches
of being the Shortland Street stroker. You're on the short list for being the Shortland Street stroker, which was essentially our most famous terrible TV series over here, and you were going to be a guy that was a hospital patient, right?
I was a patient, but I was also a friend of one of the staff members, and I was a photographer. This story's already played out on air. And I was a photographer who was friends with like the main character, one of the main like beautiful, like the hot one, kind of. I don't know what her name is, the character's name is, but she's kind of, the hot one. And so she used to be a model and he used to be a photographer. She auditioned for The Long Track, by the way.
Right.
And so, yes, anyway, and then he starts harassing the young interns, and then he grabs one of them by the arm and masturbates under his sheet while looking at her. Which I went for the role. They thought of me. They were like, okay, who's someone who plays a good wanker? Oh, Harley. They've probably seen some Pigville stuff. I wank on every Pigville video, basically. They probably saw Not Wanking or Disgusting Hairy Man.
Yeah. I
am a very experienced on-screen wanker.
It's true.
It does make sense that you might think of me. So speaking of wanking, this role does require my character to run away and then to begin masturbating from a distance. And looking,
I see some parallels here.
You see some parallels.
It's just a redemption arc for Harley Neville right now. He's like, I've got to prove I can do this to the best of my ability on screen.
Well, I don't love playing sex offenders, to be honest. I didn't want to play, even if that's Shortland Street Stroker. I was like, really? This is my big shot at Shortland Street, fucking Stroker. You know, and I wish, look, if Shortland Street's now been knocked down to 3 days per week instead of 5 days.
There's even less chance to get cast now.
Exactly, there's even less chance to get cast. So maybe that was it. Maybe that was my wad and I shot it and I did not get it. You know, that was my one single wad, which I blew and I didn't get it, right? And I could have been the Shortland Street Stroker or I could have not been on Shortland Street at all. And I should have been the Stroker. But anyway, I didn't really want to be the Stroker, apart from it being on Shortland Street. I was unhappy about that. And it's kind of the same sort of situation here. It's not like I really love playing that type of character. But you
got something to prove now.
I got something to prove. No, well, look, it's a paying acting gig. And I'm an unemployed person for the most part at the moment. So it's a paid acting gig. And also they asked me, I didn't have to audition for it. They asked me just to do it. I was like, I like that. Like, you asked me, I'll say yes. And then, that's why I said yes. I want to work with those people. I've worked with them before and they're creating content. So I'd like to see what they do next as well. But there's two ways you can take it. There's two ways you can take it when somebody asks you about a role like that. The first one that always hits you is that they think that they have pictured a horrific sex offender, somebody gross and disgusting and creepy, and then they were like, you know who would be good? Harley Neville. You know, like that.
Got that right vibe about him.
That's one, yeah, exactly. Harley, you know, Harley's got that vibe. You know, that gross vibe. Ugh, Harley, yeah. Ugh, let's ask him. Ugh, yuck. Ugh, it's just a shame we have to work with him. Ugh. Or, and this is how I take it, the second way that it comes, it's, you know, hugely flattering. It's like essentially, because I know this person, you know, this woman personally. I haven't been asked by the director. I've been asked by the woman who's acting across from me. She's the writer, and she wrote it. It's her story, and it's her who I'm going to be harassing on the street, right? So she obviously has to work with me. She wants to find somebody that she feels safe around, that she can trust. And somebody who's not physically repulsive, who's going to have like gross, you know, garlic breath all over her, or, you know, just gross breath, you know. And so it's like, cool. Well, look, hey, Harley, there you go. He's I trust him, and he's clean, right? And he's a good actor. I trust him, he's clean, and he's a good actor. So I'm going to ask Harley. Yeah. And that's how I choose to see it, guys.
It's a little from column A, a little from column B.
No, that's how I choose to see it.
They remind you of it. They like, when they think sex offender, they think you. Okay. But they don't think you are a sex offender.
No.
You have the look.
I just have
and
the
embody
image.
the traits that could be construed as sex offensive.
Yeah.
And that, but you are also a good actor and someone that is not a sex offender and therefore can be cast in this role.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I think it's more just my one. I don't think that they actually think I look like a sex offender.
Guys, the toughest role we have to cast is the sex offender. Who could do that? Well, I think Harley could do that. Oh, of course, Harley. Harley could definitely do it. Or should we audition him?
Nah, just give it to him. Look,
he's got it.
This is.
He's fine.
You know what
He'll be fine.
Do you know what this is, Guy? Do you know what this is? This is another example of baldism.
Oh, totally.
It's just another example of baldism.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know, that's what it is. It's baldism rearing its ugly head.
I agree.
Once again. You know, so they were like, okay, so he's a sex offender. What's the first thing we know about sex offenders? All of them are bald. Yeah. All of them are bald, middle-aged white men. Yeah. That's always your first go-to. And in this day and age, it's actually like politically incorrect to cast anybody who's not a white man as a sex offender. Yeah, because if you cast, you know, somebody else as a sex offender, you might get accused of like stereotyping that race, right? Whereas white people, safe. It's totally safe.
White bald people.
White bald people. We have even less rights. You know? So...
Look, I actually can't really disagree with it. I can't really disagree with it.
This is obviously what's happening.
Baldism.
It's baldism rearing its ugly head.
Yeah. Now, the way they could counter that is to give you a hairpiece.
Yeah, or a hat.
Yeah.
But the thing is, why would they, they obviously cast me because of my bald head. They want the shiny. Shiny. That's what they call this.
Well,
that's what the film's called, The Shiny.
Funny side note. Also, rest in peace to Shelley Duvall, who recently passed away as well.
It is a very sad episode of Who's Dead this week.
So she recently passed away, 75 years old. Very sad. Amazing actress.
Shout out to Dottie Pie and Callum McDonald, who have just shown up on the live stream. We've got actual live viewers.
It's great to see.
Right.
It's great to see.
Welcome, Dottie Pie, Callum. Beautiful.
Yeah, so there we go. Callum suggests you get big, thick frame spectacles for that role.
Yeah, again, another cliche. I personally
Coke bottle glasses.
I personally don't wear glasses, so I'm not offended by it. But if I wore glasses simply due to my eyesight, I would be highly offended.
Yeah, those big, real magnifying ones that make your eyes massive.
The Dharma.
Yeah.
The Dharma ones.
Yeah. But yeah, we were talking about The Shining.
Yeah, The Shiny. Duval's dead.
Oh, yes. Well, just a sort of a side note about your bald head, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Is that we are currently designing a poster for our new short film. And one of the sort of mock-ups is you, like...
I like it.
I
like it already.
Is you having it, like, being, like, standing in front of the thing, putting on a fake cheesy smile.
Yeah.
And then an alternate sort of horror version of you through the LCD screen. And the only footage or only like kind of still we have is of you as you beat up, right?
Yeah.
But revealing your bald head. Yeah. So the horror version of you is bald.
Yeah.
The non-horror version of you have a hat on, so you can't tell.
Yeah, so that is like a real horror,
So what was he referring the horror to be? Was it that the fact that your face is all busted up, or is the fact that you have no hair?
Yeah.
And is our poster designer therefore a shiny hater?
Yeah, he might be. There's baldism. When you start looking for baldism, you actually start to see it. You notice it everywhere.
Well, and also as you notice it everywhere, it's like, do we want on the poster for you to be bald if baldism is a real serious thing?
You're going to put off a lot of people. I mean, they'll be like, hey, I would like to watch that movie. It looks really good. But it appears that one of the main characters is bald.
I mean... And to that point, one of the distributors of our original film...
Photoshopped hair onto my head
exactly.
on the DVD cover. Photoshopped black hair, slightly too dark, hair onto my head.
Because they were so concerned.
The poster. I think that was the German poster. I think...
yeah, it could be.
I think it was either German... I think it was German. And they had photoshopped hair onto my head. Hilarious.
Yeah, because
it'd be hilarious if it wasn't so discriminatory.
It was,
and offensive.
Blatant discrimination there.
Yeah.
You can't make excuse for the Photoshop of the hair. What can you say is, if not, that you didn't like the appearance of a shiny.
Yeah. You were like, we can't have a bald guy on the cover of our DVD.
Which is also funny because technically you also did have like a little bit of hair.
Yeah, I had a lot more hair then than I did now.
So imagine now how their reaction.
Yeah.
Might have never sold it in that territory.
They'll go, look, we're going to distribute this film anyway because that character is behind the camera most of the time.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Yeah.
Also, speaking of casting, don't we have a role tomorrow?
We literally have a role tomorrow. You and I are both acting in something
filled
tomorrow.
with regret about this, but yeah.
Why?
Just because I'm so busy.
Well, I'm busy too, man. I'm going to France on Monday.
And exactly. So like it's sort of like when you say yes to these things, you're obviously you're not really aware of what the week holds for you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the week. And most of the weeks recently have held for me sort of 7 days a week, 24/7, because I'm working on a very massive documentary, co-directing a massive documentary that is now in the editing phase, but it's in the post phase. And obviously there's a lot of moving parts to that sort of have to be organized and run and back and forth, and plus doing regular day-to-day sort of work. So, when Harley pitched the idea, I was like, great, sounds fun. And now I'm like, oh man, that's a waste of half a Sunday.
Well, you're lucky. I gave you the little role, mate.
I'm glad because there was
two roles.
Yeah.
There's basically the good doctor and a corrupt doctor.
You're the corrupt doctor.
Yeah, but I actually just want to do the smallest role because I'm busy too. I got so much to do, and I don't want to spend 10 hours on set.
Yeah.
For not a very good fee. It's not like it's a very small. It's fine for a low budget film, but it's like it's not a huge amount of money, and so. I don't want to be sitting around on set for 10 hours to do this little role in this, one thing when it's my last day before I leave. I've got to spend time with my lovely girlfriend, she who shall be named. And I've got other things to do, and I haven't even packed yet. And I've got to figure out what stuff I need to take on my hard drive, what kind of work I'm going to be doing while I'm away, and what I need to have with me. There's all sorts of random shit to do. And so I don't want to be on set for 10 hours. The thing about the difference between my role and your role is that my role is in two separate scenes. Yours is in one room. That's it. You're in, you're out. Whereas mine, I'm going to finish one scene and then I'm going to have to sit around for however long until they finish whatever they're doing, shooting everything else out in that location, and then going to the other location, setting up, and then finally getting around to my scene. So I've made it a much longer day. But the thing is that my character has the cliffhanger line on one of the episodes. So
you can't be cut.
So I can't. Well, I guess I can't be cut. Yeah.
Well, you could be cut.
Could be cut, but yeah, it'd be even easier. Just cut out the end of the scene. No, but it's like the cliffhanger line, and then it's just a funnier role and all that. And I was like, well, Guy would probably prefer the shorter role. Anyway.
I noticed you didn't consult me on that.
Well, I was made an executive decision on that one, but I made the right decision, right?
Yes, probably,
because obviously. You want the smaller role.
In this case, probably yes.
And to be honest, I would have happily taken the smaller role. It's 2 lines because I haven't even learnt my lines yet. I've got 5 or 6
me neither.
lines.
I'm looking at my lines now. But what I like about my lines, is 2 things.
You can read them.
They seem kind of natural. They seem like normal, like a doctor would say this.
Yeah.
Without any weird phrasing of sentencing and stuff.
Yeah.
Which to me, when I forget lines, I primarily forget lines based off them not really making much sense.
Yeah.
And not forming a sort of a sensible sentence. If anything doesn't form a sensible sentence for my brain, it's very hard for me to remember them. But mine is very easy, and it's something that a doctor would really say. The treatment seems to be working wonders. Dylan's blood counts have improved dramatically. We'll need to continue monitoring him closely, of course, but it's optimistic he'll make a full recovery. I think it should be... Oh, no, that's right. I just read it wrong. I'm optimistic.
I'm optimistic, yeah. Yeah, well, look, man, you do it just like that. And it's easy money.
And also, what I even like about it is I have a clipboard or something that I'm looking at.
Just put your notes on
so I'm just going to put the script right there and read off it.
Yeah.
Classic Brando style.
Yeah. Oh, no, that would be great. I'm in a lot more trouble. I've got to
no
learn
need
this.
for memorization here.
Yeah.
Of those 2 lines.
Yeah.
Also, it does sound in my 30s, which I like as well.
Well, there you go. See, I didn't consult you because the other one's in his 40s. So my character's in his 40s, and obviously that casting's a little backwards there. But yeah, I'm a corrupt doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as long as you don't start masturbating in front of any of your patients.
Yeah. I'll do my best.
I don't think there's any of that type of thing in the script in these scripts.
Yeah.
Can we talk about? Well, surely we can talk about what it's for.
I don't think they're ever going to catch us.
No, it's for a TikTok series.
It's for a TikTok
We're TikTok
series.
stars now.
We're TikTok stars, yeah. Yeah, well, that's kind of why I wanted to get that. I was happy to get that last cliffhanger scene because it's like all of these little episodes, they're very short and they always basically end on a cliffhanger. So my character will get one of the cliffhanger lines. And hey, you never know, it might become a meme or something. Me coming out and saying that something might become a meme. And then I'll be rich. Then I'll have that internet money.
Yeah, so TikTok, it's the new generation of people. Well, I don't know. I just feel like it's like how you consume your... these have to be a different style of thing to like a Netflix series for them to really work. Whether they'll, there's probably always going to be a place for them. Will they rise to prominence of those types of shows? We're yet to know. And also, maybe it just doesn't make sense financially for them to get really expensive.
Yeah, well, the way they're making money is they're making them
for nothing,
for very, very cheap. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're calling in favors left, right, and center to get these things done.
Called in a favor, bringing us in, bringing
exactly.
the two stars of feature films in to be in bit parts on a TikTok series. Come on, best Oceanian actor of 2022.
Yeah, and best Oceanian actor nominee of 2022.
So come on, you're dealing with heavyweights here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like when Sir Alec Guinness came in to play a role in Star Wars, although that role was much bigger.
Yeah, a lot bigger.
And I think they gave him, they did. Money. I know they paid him they paid him more than all that. So they paid Alec Guinness more than all the, I guess, main stars, you would say.
Yeah.
Harrison, core cast, Harrison Ford, blah blah blah. They also gave him a percentage of the gross of the film, which was obviously turned out to be much more than his fee, which was the biggest of all of them as well.
Yeah.
And then he grew to hate Star Wars, of course. If you follow that timeline to his death, he sort of got quite upset that he was sort of only known as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
He had this illustrious career of the stage and screen before that, but everyone just wanted him to essentially say use the Force and but I go back to Mark Hamill's quote, which I think is much better way to look at it, which is like, I'm not mad that I'm only going to be remembered for Star Wars because I didn't think I was going to be remembered for anything.
Yep, and it's much better. And
to be honest, I don't think...
That's the difference between their careers at the time, right? So Alec Guinness was a lot more established, and then now he's only known for this, whereas Mark Hamill was known for nothing.
A young up-and-comer. But
and then he's known for this.
And there was another interesting quote. I'm reading the behind-the-scenes Star Wars books at the moment, which has essentially interviews from all the cast and key creatives as they're making the films. So it's much more interesting than retrospectively looking at Star Wars, knowing it's a success and knowing it's become Star Wars, is to know what these people were thinking at the time of making it, which is often completely different. And Harrison Ford said something really interesting. He goes, I didn't sign on for all three, but I did like the way they went with Empire, so I signed on for that one. But I could see this becoming a role, if I look at this from a career perspective, and this is at the start of his career, is this is a very good beginning career role and a very good end career role, but it's also the type of role that could mean you don't have a middle of your career because you've been typecast. And I was like, that's fascinating because that's exactly what happened to all the cast but him in Star Wars. And it's also just a very... what's the word I'm looking for? It shows a huge amount of perspective, I suppose, that he had the ability to look at that at the start of his career and see that as what it was. Smart guy.
Smart dude. The worldwide cyber sit show. Have you heard about this? You read about this?
Yeah, I've heard about it. But the weird part is I'm on the internet 24/7. I just uploaded a bunch of stuff. I went on my bank.
But you know why, mate? Because you're on the Mac. It hasn't affected your system.
It's a PC thing.
It's a PC thing, but it does affect you because if your bank uses PC, then it's going to affect your banking. Yeah. But so it's a PC thing. The Mac and Linux users, we're all good. So
I didn't realize it was
it's another
targeting the master race.
Yeah, another Mac superiority situation.
Yeah.
So what happened was there's a big company, a tech protection, cybersecurity company that works for a lot of these big Fortune 500 companies, and they did an update of something, and this update had a little bit of extra code in it and delivered a blue screen of death to millions and millions and millions and millions of computers. And so these millions and millions and millions of computers all received it. You can fix it, but it involves uninstalling your this and unplugging in your that and dragging over your doohickey and doing all this shit, which a lot of people in offices and so forth don't even have access to on work computers.
Right.
So everything's falling over because all these people are sitting around not able to do their jobs because they can't get into their computers because the IT guys are like suddenly overloaded with all this work. And that's basically what's happening. So the world's grinding to a halt because all these computers are out, not doing their jobs. And it's not just a matter of fixing it overnight because you've got to do each one kind of individually, I guess, or something like that. And so I really hope this doesn't affect my flights because I'm going traveling on fucking Monday. And if it's like some horrible delays all through the airport because they're writing tickets by fucking hand or something, you know?
Well, I haven't seen any, I've seen reports, but I haven't seen any reports of like chaos in New Zealand.
No.
So I feel like perhaps we've been largely unaffected over here.
Yeah, well,
I've noticed that some people said it was running slow, like things were running slowly and they couldn't get into their bank app. I know Kiwi Bank had a problem yesterday, but it's fixed now.
Well, this is probably good for like Mac stock, Apple stock, like probably a lot of these
cult
people.
Of Apple. A lot of the cult of Apple.
A lot of these people who got burned by this situation, just might be like, look, we've got to get rid of all these computers anyway. They're all fucked. They're all blue screened. Let's upgrade to Mac. We've been meaning to do it for a while. Now's the time.
Yeah, I'm not like, it's just so strange because having tried to join the PC Master Race.
Yeah, you gave it a good go. You bought the big PC.
I bought in, man. You I bought upgrades.
Didn't you put things in yourself?
Yeah,
you took it apart.
Installed. I basically did everything I could to try and make it a really good editing system.
Yeah.
And what I discovered is doing all that still didn't make it a very good editing system. And it was always full of annoying bugs. And then I tried to change it to a Mac and run it as a Hackintosh.
Yeah.
But that was also too buggy.
Yeah.
And so then I ultimately sold it at a loss of like 50%.
Yeah.
And just bought back to the Mac. And I would never do that again.
No.
But it's just crazy when you like, I guess it's just that some people just love customizability.
Yeah.
And that is something that Mac doesn't offer you.
I like reliability, consistency.
Yeah, me too.
I just like being able to turn on my computer and it just do what it says it's going to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like...
Same with the phone, with the iPhone. I switched back to Samsung for a little while because I was a Samsung promo boy for a job for a little while, and they gave me one of those to use, and I used it for a while, and I was already an iPhone user. I used it for quite a while, and I was like, this is the latest and greatest technology. My iPhone was old as fuck and was still way better. I was like, man, this sucks. This Samsung S3
yeah, the good old S3. I think I had an S. I think I had something like that.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, so, I mean, the moral of the story is just buy a Mac.
I got pushed into the
I mean, there was
pool.
that whole thing, though, how Mac obviously leaked all those, the fappening.
The fappening, was that? That was because of the cloud,
the
wasn't
cloud,
it? Yeah. Well,
it
depends how you view that.
Well, it depends what you're uploading to the cloud as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. We've talked about it before on the show, but it's like, yeah, you want to like sort of bring a country to its knees, just break the internet there, and keep it broken.
Yeah.
And that is again once upon a time, this would not have been a big deal. Unfortunately, that sort of dependence and reliance on computers and the internet and the connectedness of computers over the internet is actually very problematic. If because it's one break in the chain to ruin your whole life. Whereas, before it's like, we all had normal hobbies and such that and sort of a life.
Not everything was online.
That wasn't, what happens when, Netflix networks go down.
Don't even say that. Don't even suggest that.
And we do experience it, but just in sort of on a more micro level where it's like, oh, I got that streaming platform to say, watch this TV series. Oh, they not that they've canceled that TV series. They don't want to run it on the net. They don't want the cost to stream it on their network data-wise is not financially viable. So they just don't have it on their thing.
Just write it off.
Just it literally doesn't exist anymore. And it's like, man, I really like, I guess obviously the biggest example of that is Westworld.
Right. Is that gone now, is it?
Well, it certainly was for a while.
Yeah, because I didn't get to watch season 3.
Yeah.
I watched season 1, season 2. I want the season at the beginning of season 3, they get out. Oh, spoiler alert from the show from years ago. At the beginning of season 3, they get out into the real world, but then I don't know what happens.
These violent delights have violent ends.
They do. It's a good quote.
Yeah, amazing season 1. I sort of gave up in season 2. I thought it went a bit silly.
Yeah, I didn't mind season 2. I remember you saying that, but I didn't mind it too much.
Season 1, a masterpiece.
Speaking of masterpieces, First Dates,
watching the new
First Dates
God.
NZ is blowing up again. My date from when I was on a reality dating show.
How many
Dates,
years ago?
It was. I think it was 2018. So
literally 6 years ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They are mining the fuck out of this content.
No, I think what happened was it was out. It came out, and then it was on telly, and then it was online. It was on TVNZ on demand, and then it disappeared from everywhere, and you couldn't watch it. You couldn't watch my episode. You couldn't watch First Dates NZ. I couldn't find it. I was deep in the bowels of YouTube and other places trying to find it. It was gone. I had a copy of it though, but it was gone. And then what happened, I think, was the main franchise owner recorded all, I don't know, probably some licensing thing, recorded all, and now they've cut it up and they've cut the individual dates out. So instead of having to share a whole episode and say, watch this entire episode, which is intercut with other people's dates, you can just now watch just my date or just someone else's date in this small, more consumable piece of content. And so they've re-released it, and they've re-released it 2 times now. And this time it had 500,000 views in about 4 or 5 days just on Facebook, just on one thing. And all these comments, mostly nice comments about it. But yeah, I mean, I was sort of, I come across pretty well in it. I don't come across as a bad guy or anything like that. And a lot of people say, hey, look, you really walked the line on that one, buddy. Because,
really bullshitted to an adequate degree.
Well, if you haven't seen it, you can go find it. Go First Dates NZ, Harley and Charlie, probably Harley and Charlie. And Charlie is spelled Charlee. That's how it's spelled, Harley and Charlie. And it's First Dates NZ, and go find it. It's on Facebook. And yeah, it's blown up again. And it's the whole thing is framed to sort of set me up almost in a way to be the baddie, because the whole way it's titled is, it's titled Charlie is scared that her date might think she isn't skinny enough. Charlie's scared that her date might think she's not skinny enough. Exactly, clickbait. So people click on it, right? And instantly you've created this narrative that she's insecure about that, and that we have to see what this guy, how this dude's going to respond, and how does he respond, And if I am not interested in her at the end, well, then the assumption kind of built up is that she was not skinny enough.
You don't like fat chicks.
That she was not scared, that her fears were confirmed, That's essentially the narrative. But actually, I think that's a little bit unfair, because what I did was magic. It was art. I walked out there and I improvised, because all of my plans were, I had thought I was going to be attracted to the person they paired me with, and I was not. So all of my prep had been I'm going to be attracted to this person. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to genuinely flirt with her. I'm genuinely single and looking for love. I just got to be myself. It'll be fun. And then I walk out and I know very early on that I'm not really interested in her. So, and yet I put on a brave face, because I'm the real hero here, and I, got through that show without coming across as a jerk, and there was quite a lot at stake, because obviously the producers want to cut me to look like a jerk, but that's what they want. That's how it's going to get the most views. So I was playing a game with these producers here to not give them any little sound bites that they could use against me, because I know how they're going to edit it, right? So, yeah. Anyway, I think that they need to kind of reimagine that the headline. It shouldn't be Charlie is scared that her date might think she isn't skinny enough. It should be Harley is scared that his date might not be skinny enough. Right? What's he going to do? What's he going to do? And then there'll be a lot of sympathetic comments for Harley. Instead, there's a lot of sympathetic comments for Charlie. So
I'm just trying to find a recent review. Like just every now and again, like I'm on IMDb looking up a link to zombie Holocaust.
Yeah.
And I know we may have even read out this review before, but there'll always be like, obviously once upon a time it like deeply hurt my feelings and I'd think about it for days.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of walk around with this dark cloud hanging over me and really think that I was a total piece of shit who made this horrible film that people would be so mean about, that I just completely failed as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Now, all of that is still true. But I don't know.
Changed,
the thing is, I don't walk around for days about it.
Yeah.
I do actually have a laugh, only because it's literally been a decade.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been a decade, I'm sure I'd be very sore about it.
Yeah.
But I'm just seeing if I can find the one that I recently read, because it's obviously I don't necessarily like especially the more recent ones I haven't seen yet.
Well, look, I've got a comment right here. I'm just looking at this first date. Harley, you were a great date in every way. You can't help who you're attracted to, but you gave you can't help who you're attracted to, but give a big girl a chance sometime. You might be surprised. My husband had never been with a plus-size woman before, but when it's right, size doesn't matter. And as we got older, it matters even less, as long as it's not a dangerous health situation. Anyway, I just wanted to say that you seem like a great guy, and I pray that you meet your perfect lady soon. Yeah, so there you go. Thank you. That's a mostly kind thing. Well, it is kind, yeah. It is the assumption, though. The assumption, again, is that I was not interested in her because she is too big.
Yes.
This is the assumption that's implanted into all of their heads, and it's not necessarily true. And then that is why somebody else says, why is everyone acting like being a big girl was her only flaw? Perhaps she was a plus-sized woman with a little bit more class and tenacity. He would have been on a second date. Hey, that's true. It's true. It could have been.
Well, look, I'll just read this interview. It wasn't the one that I thought about. I hope we haven't read it already, and I've just forgotten these reviews.
Spit it out, dude. I'm sure it is.
Remember that episode of South Park where Cartman went to find Mel Gibson to get his money back for Passion of the Christ? Well, that's how I feel about Guy Pigden right now. That's nearly 2 hours of my life I want back, and I want compensation for it being stolen. Whatever the film version of rape is, this film is that. I rape? Question mark? Sure, there's a couple of funny gags in it, and I grinned a couple more times, but that still equates to roughly 99 minutes of absolute bottom-of-the-barrel dross. If you want a funny zombie flick, Shaun of the Dead is the pack leader. And then he goes into some other ones. Scout's Guide to Zombie Apocalypse is worth a punt. How Warm Bodies is better than this. And that's saying something.
Yeah, director reads mean reviews of his own content.
It's good stuff. Look, you can't go wrong reading bad reviews. Like, you personally, your mental health can be really negatively affected, but for like purposes of entertainment of others, you can't go wrong with reading some of these. I was just trying to find one from 2021 because I don't think we've sort of gone back. Yes. This is a more recent one. I know that this was a low budget film, but good films can be made cheaply with a small budget, e.g. the excellent ghost film Lake Mungo. However, I Survived a Zombie Holocaust is its complete opposite. It takes a tired trope, horror movie filming interrupted by ghastly events, and does nothing new with it. Some of the acting is appalling, and there is a general feeling of high school film students making a film for a lark. If there was a 0 out of 10 score, I would have selected it. Actively avoid this film. So bad, it's not even funny. Thank you, GTA Archivist. Appreciate that one, brother.
Yep. Well, Can't win them all. The thing is, there was lots of really positive comments as well. There was lots of really positive ones. But of course, you can read 10 positive ones, and then the one negative one will be the one that sticks in your memory. The one negative one's the one you'll be thinking about mostly. No, I'm pretty good at ignoring the bad and focusing on the good, but still, it takes a while.
Yeah, but still, some of that really stung.
Well, look, you mentioned the lady from The Shining.
Yes, Shelley Duvall.
Well, it is a very sad episode of Who's Dead this week. There's of course, Shannon Doherty. Now, I don't actually have anything to say about Shannon Doherty. I barely know anything about her. 90210 and Charmed, of course.
Yes.
Of course, Charmed is more what I know her from. But no, okay, look, there's two here because we're talking about reality TV. There is a fellow reality TV, New Zealand reality TV star, Andrew Jury. So Andrew was he was on the first season of MAFS, Married at First Sight, and he got married and then it didn't work out and they broke up. But back then, MAFS was actually legally binding. Like nowadays, it's just a show. They pretend,
which is insane.
They're just pretending you're really getting married, but actually, you're not legally getting married. Yeah. But in the beginning, you were actually legally getting married. So it was actually what it said: married at first sight. And so they got married. It didn't work out. And then I talked to him, and he was saying that it was quite a pain in the ass because he had to go through the whole divorce process. Like it's a literal legal process, and there's got to have a separation and stuff like that. And so it was a pain in the butt. So anyway. He connected with me during first dates somehow, I guess because we were both on these kind of reality dating shows. And I met him here and there. And he actually came to look to see about living at this house. He came here to see here about taking a room in this house. And he didn't get it in the end. And that was about it. But I did read just recently that he was found dead in his Mount Eden house from self-inflicted wounds of some description. And he was like 32 years old or something like that. And so that could have been here. That could have been here for all we know. But anyway, so Andrew, I think you made the wrong decision there. But rest in peace.
Rest in peace, brother.
And then another sad one, Speedy, a.k.a. Jamie Hendry, a Dunedin legend who's been walking the streets of Dunedin since, for as long as I can remember. I remember seeing him around, I feel like, when I was pretty young. I don't know how old 11, I was. 10. Yeah, somewhere around there. You see Speedy around, and he was a local celebrity, a guy. He had some sort of issues, and he would walk around very fast, hence the name Speedy. And he'd always have his boom box with him, and he'd often be playing loud music and walking somewhere and fucking swearing and muttering under his breath, swearing under his breath. Yep. And like maybe he'd be dancing the octagon, making like a big wanking motion and stuff like that. But he was completely harmless, and he was, everybody knew him. And if you just leave him alone, and he didn't bother you.
And if you said, "Hey, Speedy," he would generally respond with, "Fuck you, fuck off."
Fuck. Yeah. So anyway, a Dunedin icon, and he has sadly passed away recently as well.
We lost Blanket Man a few years ago, and now we lost
Wellington,
Speedy.
Yeah, Blanket Man was Wellington.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Ben Hunter.
Two most famous homeless people in New Zealand are now gone.
Yeah, I don't know who the local famous homeless person is in Auckland. I think it's too big. There's too many.
There's just too many homeless here. Yeah. You can't keep track of them all.
Yeah. So it's not like Dunedin, a small town. You get to know who's who.
I got a couple more zombie holocaust ones.
But rest in peace to Speedy as well.
Yeah, rest in peace. Seemed like
Dunedin icon.
Well, there was all sorts of rumors about Speedy because no one really knew. I'm sure actually a lot of people do know Speedy's origins, but
I think I know the true story.
There was a lot of mythology around Speedy.
That he was a millionaire.
Yeah, so one was that he was a millionaire, and then
I think that he'd won the lotto or something, and he was actually a millionaire.
And then there was another one that he was a professor or some type of like
he was a university
teacher that had sort of lost his marbles.
Yeah.
Those were the two sort of I remember off the top of my head.
But I think the true story is that when he was like 3, he got a head injury, which changed him for the rest of his life. And it seems a lot more plausible. And then he ended up in Cherry Farm, which was a mental asylum in Dunedin back in the 80s and 70s or whatever.
Yep.
And then when Cherry Farm shut down, they just had all these people, and a lot of them, they just turfed them out on the street. They were like, cool, well, you're free now because this service is no longer funded. So good day.
So got a couple of so R.I.P. Speedy. I don't want to move past Speedy. It was a monumental thing. Although just most people that listen to this don't know who the hell Speedy is.
No,
Liam knows.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, no, but they get the idea. There's local homeless people in their town.
So this is a couple of letterbox gems, new ones.
Mm-hmm.
So also, sometimes I'm like, how did these people watch this? Like, did they pirate it and then write a review on Letterboxd?
That's the thing. That's the shittest thing, right? Is to pirate it and then shit on it. It's like, come on, man. You watched it for free.
Well,
Cut us some slack here.
What I wrote in a 2014 Facebook update around this time.
Yeah.
Pirating an indie film is the equivalent of a tap and gap.
Yeah. Well.
Used and abused.
Yeah. Just hit and go. Just hit and run.
But so this is some 1.5 stars by Sam.
Thanks for the half star.
This is actually, I think this is quite clever. My heart goes out to the cast and crew. 3 stars from Aaron Horror. Cliched characters and an over-the-top little zombie fic that is certainly underrated in my opinion. 5.9 out of 10 is what his 3 stars translate to. This is from Adra M. I don't think I could survive this kind of apocalypse. Almost killed me all the way. 2.5 stars. Nice STD awareness raising. There you go.
There you go. That's all right, apart from the bad star rating.
See this one grinds my gears.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, and it's not even that bad compared to the couple that I read before. Yeah. My quick rating, 5.2 out of 10. Amusing and fun. Not serious in the slightest. Nice approach of being attacked by zombies while making a zombie movie. Pretty sure they got that from Asian flicks. Although who knows which started this idea. But it wasn't this movie. It was this fucking movie, motherfucker!
So you're claiming that we began the entire genre of like zombie film sets being overrun by real zombies.
Absolutely.
That we were the first film to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I did read about some other one.
Yeah, well, that's what he's referring to, One Cut of the Dead.
Yeah, but there was that one that came out after I Survived a Zombie Holocaust where everyone messaged us and was like, yo, they stole your idea.
That was for a kill, more specific, a couple of zombie kills.
Oh, no, there was one that was about a zombie film set that gets overrun. It was a TV show or something, and they were like, yo, they totally stole your concept, and, we got messaged a few times.
Well, there was definitely some...
And people were like, these have clearly seen your movie.
Someone killed in one zombie TV, so someone killed someone with an egg beater after we had done it.
Yep. Zombie dick, we were first.
And I swear there was a new zombie dick that popped up.
Yeah. We were the first to do the zombie deck.
And we were the first to do the zombie deck.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of firsts. We were pioneers, much like Star Wars was. We just weren't received in the same way. But yes, so I'm just looking for, because there's lots of 3.5 stars, but this really feels like a 3.5 star film to a lot of people. Apparently, half this movie's budget was spent on boobs. I think they should have just saved it for the movie. I see what you did there.
I see. Like we went to the strip club with the budget and just
rather than invest in like a good film.
The movie. Yeah, no, that's funny that we spent all the money at the strip club and then just had a little bit left over. I like that. That's good.
Or Rhiannon's boobies.
Yeah, no, but I think the joke there is, I see all this money was spent on boobs, the implication being it's Rhiannon's tits. But then he says they should have just spent it on the movie instead. As in, we went out to the strip club, blew all the money on boobs, and then just have the change left over to make the movie.
Oh, I just assumed it was like paying.
That we paid her a lot.
Yes.
No, but that's what he's setting you up to think.
Well, yeah.
That's what he's setting you up to think. And then the twist is he's saying that we spent the money on boobs.
Well, I thought that he's just saying...
No, but her boobs are in the movie.
They're in the movie, but if you think about spending something on the movie...
sound off in the comments, people.
Your
whose
assumption would
interpretation
be...
of this joke is
Your assumption would
correct.
be like spending it on like making the movie.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the joke. Well, sound off in the comments, people. Well, that's good. Okay, cool. Well, look, we are going to have to wrap this up soon. We're going to have to wrap this up soon because we've got things to do. But the 48-hour film I acted in, I just wanted to mention, it got nominated for Best Use of an Exit and Best Female/Gender Diverse Filmmaker. It did not win Best Use of an Exit, but I'm proud to announce it did win Best Female/Gender Diverse Filmmaker for Nicole Chen's directing. So well done to Nicole. Best female/gender diverse filmmaker, which is another way of saying anybody except for men.
Guy.
or for heterosexual men. No, technically gay men and heterosexual men are not invited to that. But gender diverse people are. So if you're a man who identifies as a woman, you're allowed to be nominated for that award. If you're a woman that identifies as a man, that's gender diverse as well. You're allowed to be nominated for that award. But if you're just a vanilla gay guy, you're not in. And if you're a hetero guy, you're not in. So my question is, what happens when a gender diverse woman who identifies as a man, right? So you're a woman who identifies as a man, right? But you're gay, right? You're attracted to men. So you're a woman who identifies as men, but you're attracted to men.
Yeah.
Now you've
just introduced the paradox to this whole...
the whole thing doesn't work. It all falls over.
It falls
all
down.
falls apart. Who's going to get in, right?
Yeah, why wasn't it just Best Director?
Well, because obviously nobody can compete with heterosexual men. So they have to take us out of the pool. Otherwise, it's like fighting Superman. It's like, what's the point?
It's like
what's the point?
Homelander and the boys.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to take him out.
Yeah, you got to take him out to keep this fair.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that is insane.
Yeah,
and some would argue that is its own form of discrimination against the people that are being nominated.
I think they call that remedial discrimination.
Right.
Where you're making up for the discrimination by going too far the other way.
It's just weird because it's like, so did you get Best Director? No, I got Best Gender Diverse, what was it?
Female/gender diverse
director. Oh, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Well, we're in our own category.
Well, we're excluding heterosexual men and gay men. We're excluding heterosexual men and gay men, but men who are born biologically male who identify as women, that's okay, regardless of who they sleep with. But, yeah, it's a funny one. It's
a weird one.
Yeah. I'm not entirely against the concept of creating, awards for different minorities and that type of thing, but it is a bit weird. You're like, well, why can't...
And also, does that mean...
Why is it not just Best Director?
Everyone in that group, are they worse than the Best Director? Or are they better than the Best Director?
Well, so I guess, is there even a Best Director film?
Different than...
What happens if a woman wins Best Director?
Well, I have to throw it out.
But then she's also got...
The
Best Female...
What if she wins both?
That's not fair.
See, the problem is if she wins both, then you are essentially acknowledging that Best Director is the best.
Yeah, is the best one.
Yeah.
And then also, if you're best, is there even a Best Director award? Because you've got a Best Female Director one. Is there a Best Male one, or is it like there's just Best Director and then there's Best Female Director specifically? And then what happens if women win? Two of them, both of them. And then what happens if the same woman wins? Because it makes sense, right?
Sure.
Like the film's great. She's the best director, but she's also a female. It's the best female director too. Maybe they would just choose not to do that.
You win Best Director, and then why didn't she win Best Female Director? Because she was also female.
Yeah. Well, look, mate, the world's gone a little crazy, but look, it is what it is.
We're not here to throw stones.
We're just on the sidelines. We're like George Carlin. We're just on the sidelines, observing and commentating.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we'll be fine now that everything's swung to the far right.
Yeah, now that the world's swinging back to the far right, it's time for us to go back into power. Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. No, well, that's a interesting situation there. But to be clear, I do think it's probably for the best.
What?
Well, well, maybe we're taking it a bit far, but like just the idea that you can create different categories for different people that might otherwise not get as much of a chance in this sea of white men.
Yeah, I mean, is it a sea of white men?
I don't even know if it is nowadays, to be honest.
I actually don't think that's... I mean, if you look to our most successful directors here in New Zealand, you'll find that many of them are women.
Yeah, well, there's also like...
I don't know if that accurately statistically reflects how many people are actually directing things, but I do know that if you look at some of our best... Jane Campion, Roseanne Lang...
Oh, yeah, she's doing all right.
She's doing pretty fucking well.
Yeah.
She would probably be our most successful director currently, probably.
Yeah.
Taika
Waititi, I'd say, is probably more successful.
Nah, he's past news now.
He's old news.
It's borderline. It's a wonder we haven't cancelled him yet.
Yeah. Yes, well, anyway, good. I think that probably brings us to the end of the show. Unless you've got anything you'd like to add?
Only that I better get back to another 2 hours of editing.
Well, I've got to go learn my lines, and I've got to pack my bags.
So we don't have a call time for tomorrow.
Why
happens if I sleep in?
I have asked, but...
I mean, they'll be in the middle of filling probably.
Yeah,
and can't figure it out.
Yeah, but still, it is 6 p.m. I'd love to know what time we've got to be there.
Because my alarm's going to be set for like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So if it's before then... Sorry, can't help you.
Yeah. Well, I assume we'll hear. All right. So yes. Anyway, we'll talk to you once we're back. Once I'm back, I will have my laptop with me. We could potentially do one from France as well.
Zoom.
Or there you go. Just like during COVID.
Yep.
Shout out. So I just want to shout out to U2381347. Who's one of my OnlyFans followers who loves the podcast.
Yep.
Loves the podcast. So shout out to you. That's good. Yes, we will catch you on the next episode of the Guy and Harley podcast.
See you later.